Hi everyone, my name's Ian Hassell, also known as Mo DeLon. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario and currently reside in Hamilton, Ontario. I am currently playing guitar for a rock and roll machine called the Letdowns.ca. Hamilton born and bred. So my introduction to punk music really didn't have all that big an effect on me. I had been watching Don Kirshner's rock concert, and Don Kirshner introduced this band that was from New York City and was sort of the next up-and-coming thing, and it was the Ramones. And I watched them perform, and I listened to this music, and I thought, where's the glitz? Where's the glam? And of course they were performing in ripped jeans and dirty sneakers, and just didn't really encompass that what I perceived as the rock and roll look and sound. So that wasn't it didn't hit me right away. And then there are a few circumstances at school where someone had brought in a 45 of the Sex Pistols, Pretty Vacant, and that went around the classroom. People took it home and listened to it, so I had my turn and listened to it, and I thought, yeah, that's okay, but it piqued my interest, but it didn't grab me right away. And there were other incidents like Devo performing on SNL and being that being such a unique sound and a unique look, and that's when I started getting more interested in sort of researching and finding out more about this kind of music. And I used to listen to a radio program on CFNY that was hosted by a guy named Dave Marsden. And Dave Marsden was all about keeping away from the mainstream music, playing music that was different, that was new, and he played a lot of the new wave stuff, a lot of the British stuff, a lot of the American stuff, and a lot of local stuff. And there was one particular evening I was listening to his program, and he was kind of rambling on about this, the Queen, or maybe the royal family a little bit, and said, I'm playing this song for all our British listeners tonight, and it was God Save the Queen. And that song, the sound, the anger in the vocals just gave me goosebumps, and that was probably the moment that really brought me into the punk rock music and really kind of boosted me to research it even more and to get to know what it was all about. Main influences, on both personal level and musical level, I'd start with my dad. My dad was right into jazz music, and he used to have us, my sister and I, sit down and listen to some of his records. One I remember in particular was Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. My dad liked to put coffee beans in a plastic container and give them to my sister and I so we could shake these things to the music, and we felt like we were part of the Tijuana Brass. So that was really something that got me into not only listening to music but the fun of participating in it as well. And musical influences came from all different directions, all different sources. Classmates. I had mentioned the fellow that brought in the single of Pretty Vacant by the Sex Pistols. There was another friend of mine in school whose older brother went to Westdale. I was in the same grade as Frankie Venom, and he brought in a copy of Teenage Head's debut album for all of us to take home and have a listen. And I remember, being immediately taken by the first song on the first side, which was Top Down. It was so fast, it was so fun, and that was what I also got from getting into the Ramones. That music was fun, it was fast, furious, loud, raw, and that really grew on me. And then over the years, before the internet, and where you could, research and have things thrown in your face in the internet, you would, you'd talk to people, and you would, as a teenager, I would walk downtown Hamilton and visit the record stores, and thank goodness the people that worked at the record stores had a lot of patience for my nerdy teenage self, asking all these questions about what they liked and what they listened to, what they think I should listen to or buy next, and places like Cheapies and Record World. I think Record World actually had a basement level at the time, where that's where they had their new wave and punk albums. So I spent a lot of time hanging out down there and talking to the staff there, and I bought a lot of vinyl from that place. So and then of course through the years of playing music with various people, they certainly had a big influence on what I would be listening to, and strangely enough, Pat Havoc, singer of the Letdowns.ca, he used to do a little radio show with Stu Smith at CFMU McMaster Radio, the Stu and Fuzzy Show, and that's where I believe I first heard Stiff Little Fingers, and that took me down a whole different rabbit hole with that, and so like I say, it comes from all different directions and different sources, and even today with when the Letdowns rehearse and we talk about different bands and different things, and we may introduce each other to something new, which is always great. So the first rock concert I attended was, I'd probably seen many other concerts before that, wholesome concerts that I would have gone to with my parents. But this first rock concert I went to took place at Mohawk College in the auditorium there, and it was Triumph. And Triumph had just, I think they had just released their first album, and this was it was a fairly, I think it was $2.50 for the ticket, and I can remember, being sort of a little overwhelmed with the amount of people that were crammed into this auditorium, the different smells and everything, that are associated with rock concerts. And I can remember as the band came on, there was a sort of a marching drum sound that got louder and louder and louder. And as the band came on the stage and hit the first chord of the opening song, there was, lights and pyrotechnics and all that, and I remember I couldn't see for like 5 minutes because it was like, it had been so bright. And of course the noise volume was just something I had never experienced before, so it was all very overwhelming but very exciting. My first punk rock concert, I believe, was the Ramones headlining a show at the Burlington Central Arena. And I think this would have been around 1979, 1980. And the opening act for the show is the Forgotten Rebels. And I had heard of the Forgotten Rebels at the time, but didn't know what they were about. And I was quite impressed. They were actually quite a bit better than the Ramones. Only because I think, you know, the sound volume was at a reasonable level, and it was kind of comical, and as you know, Mickey is. And the Ramones came out. The house lights were never turned down. There were cops everywhere, walking up and down the aisles, and they were so loud you could not tell one song from the next. And I can remember that they'd also put out folding metal chairs on the arena floor, which ended up flying through the air and looked very dangerous. I was just thankful that we were up in the seats, up in the bleachers, and there was this off to the one side of the stage, the pile of metal chairs just kept getting higher and higher as the night went on, and that was again quite an experience. You know, quite a different crowd from the Triumph concert, but certainly a legendary show and a fun experience. My favorite shows are probably too many to mention, and we could be here for hours, but I would say any show I attended of the Problem Children would have been my favorite. One that sticks in my mind back from the early 90s, probably around 1990, was seeing the Replacements at the concert hall with the Goo Goo Dolls as the opening act. They were still considered a punk band at that time. That was a great double bill, lots of fun, lots of good audience interaction with the band. Really fun show. Through the years, I've seen the Ramones several times, but one show that sticks in my mind was at the RPM Club, and you know, it was the Dick Van Dykes for the opening act, and I was somehow allowed to hang out backstage and meet the Ramones. And another thing that sticks out in my mind about that show is seeing our old dear departed friend Mance Crummins show up late, obviously came right from work, wearing a suit, and was still the coolest guy in the room. Sorry. I miss that guy. Can we stop for a second? So, more recently, I'd say, you know, within the last 10, 12 years, been able to see a lot of the sort of the classic punk bands, which has been a real treat. Bands like Stiff Little Fingers, the Buzzcocks, the Damned, all been fantastic shows. Most recently seeing the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, just a fantastic band to see live. And been to a couple of shows across the border that have been fantastic. One in recent memory was the Interrupters, supported by Masked Intruder. What an excellent bill that was. Masked Intruder were so entertaining, just about stole the show. And it's always fun when a band can do that. But I'm going to mention one band that's off the punk rock trail. but that was Doug and the Slugs. I saw Doug and the Slugs a couple of times at the old Forum at Ontario Place. That was the stage that rotated as the band played, and those guys knew how to put on a show, and particularly their lead singer Doug Bennett. What a showman! Great songs, great singer, and just a fun, high energy band to see. So just to add to my favorite shows, I have to say that we've got a local band that's so good, so talented, great songs, great front man, just a fun band to watch, and that's the Lucky Ones. And if anybody out there watching this has a chance to see that band live, please do so. They'll blow you away. So, all the bands I've played in, I guess we could start back when I was trying to learn to play the guitar, which actually I'm still trying to do. I started playing with these guys. We all were kind of learning our instruments, and but we had one fellow in the band who was a veteran. He's a bit older than us and had a lot of playing experience, and kind of coached us along. And we were called the Droogs after we named ourselves after the gang in Clockwork Orange, and we're basically just trying to struggle through cover songs while we were learning our instruments, and it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed hanging out with these guys. One of the fellas was Dino Virginella, playing bass, Colin McPherson playing singing vocals, and a fellow named Al, and I can't remember Al's last name, but he was the veteran playing the drums. We had an awful lot of fun, but never played a live gig anywhere. The first band that I actually played a live show in was a punk outfit called Toxic. It featured a drummer from Pat Havoc's first band, The Difference, and a young lady on bass. I think her name was Sarah, and we went through a couple of lead singers who were either unable to perform vocally, or just didn't have the presence that our drummer Ed was looking for, and that was the first time that I ever performed a song with Pat Havoc, because he got up to sing one song when we were playing at the old Gown and Gavel, and we had managed to talk him into coming for a rehearsal to see if he might want to front this band permanently, and unfortunately that didn't work out so well. Personality conflicts from his former bandmate, but I had been going to more shows, meeting lots of people, and one of those people was Dave Ralphs. And Dave Ralphs and I drank a lot of beers together and fantasized about putting a powerhouse punk rock band together. So we had actually, I don't know if we advertised or whatever, but we found a drummer by the name of Doug Lee, who came out and started jamming with us, and we worked on a few songs that the band The Difference had been performing. Recorded some of this, and somehow managed to convince Pat Havoc to come and join us for a rehearsal. see how it would go, and it seemed to click, and we worked on putting a set of music together, and performed our first gig. I think we played 2 shows on the same night. Our first time out playing live, and you've probably heard this from Pat Havoc already. It was I think we opened for the Forgotten Rebels at Bannister's on Devil's Night or Halloween night, and then pushed all our gear down the street and did an opening set for the Dick Van Dykes. I'm not sure what order that was, which show happened first, but it was fantastic. We had lots of fun. We had lots of beer. We got fed pizza. It was like we figured we'd hit the big time, and it was all downhill from there. After I had left the Wet Spots, I know that the Wet Spots carried on for a while, and I was talked into coming out and playing with a couple of guys named Mark and Tony. Tony Psycho, you may know. I can't remember Mark's last name. And we started rehearsing together with Mark on bass and Tony playing the drums and me struggling through guitar. And we, we're sort of getting tight, getting good. And we thought it was time to find a singer. And we ended up with a fellow named Mark, and I'm trying to remember Mark's last name, but he was in a band called That What that had I think had recently broken up. Fantastic singer, great voice, excellent songwriter. We put some songs together, some original material, and even made a recording, played a couple of live shows. But I think the age difference between myself and the other and Mark and the other 2 members was starting to show, and I think our musical intentions were going down the separate paths. So that didn't carry on for too much longer after that. Then I didn't play at all for many years. I hadn't even thought about picking up a guitar for a long time. And out of the blue, I got a call from Barney McMahon asking me if I'd be interested in playing playing guitar in an outfit called the Chico Mackey Punk Rock Experience. And just the name alone pulled me right in. And so I said sure, and he gave me a bunch of songs to learn, and I showed up for a rehearsal, and we were working on a set, mostly cover tunes, I believe. I think maybe all cover tunes, and classic punk rock stuff. And it was I think Barney was playing guitar and bass, Crash on guitar, and a fellow by the name of Andrew Strahler on drums, and it was fun. We had a good time, and unfortunately never played a live show with these guys, so I was a little disappointed by that. But it wasn't too long after that I was contacted by, I think it was contacted by Glenn Fallman, because he was putting together a tribute to Joe Strummer at the Corktown, and wanted to know if I was interested in coming and playing a couple of tunes as a guest musician with his band, the Sam Lawrence Five. And I thought about it and thought this might be fun, and I was a fan of Joe Strummer, so it all made sense. And it ended up, I think it was myself, Pat Havoc, and Pete Murphy, that ended up getting up with these guys and playing a couple of Clash tunes, and I think we all realized how much we missed playing together and how much we missed, making music and playing live. And we thought about getting back together and giving it another shot. So this was, I'm going to say 2005, 2006. And we started performing, I think, as the Manglers. Did a few shows in the area. One in particular that was quite memorable was a reunion of the Sick Boys in St. Catharines. A lot of fun, great night, and it's great to see old friends out there. And that just made it all that much more attractive to keep going. And we eventually renamed ourselves the Letdowns, and of course brought Crash into the fold. It wasn't so much that we invited him as he invited himself into the band, and he will tell you that's how it went, I'm sure. And we continue to this day as the Letdowns.ca. So the craziest thing I've ever seen in a live show is just like the Cramps. I don't know if anybody else has ever seen the Cramps live, but that was the most bizarre thing I had ever seen live. But most recently, I was at a show in Buffalo. I mentioned the Masked Intruder Interrupter show, and one of the audience members was in a wheelchair, and he ended up getting hoisted up and surfed over the audience right to the front of the stage. And the singer from the Interrupters reached out, gave him a 5, and I thought, what a great punk rock moment. That was awesome. What I like about being a musician, I like the camaraderie with my bandmates. I like the creative process, how we work together to create a song. I like playing live. That's always a lot of fun. It doesn't matter if the audience is big or small, just playing with those guys is always fun. And the thing I hate about being a musician the most is hauling the gear. And that becomes more and more of a pain in the ass as we get older. And for some reason the equipment seems to have gotten heavier. So yeah, that's what I dislike the most. So, my most useless talent, and this will be confirmed by Karen, is that I can identify actors from older movies and TV series who are in current films and TV series, to the point where I will pause the program and say, that guy was in this show that we saw the other night, and it is completely unappreciated. So my favorite food, hands down, is pizza. And I have eaten pizza that has been burned beyond recognition because it's still pizza. And Barney and Pete will confirm that for you. Post heart attack, I've had to change my my diet, so I'm eating healthier stuff. And at the beginning of the pandemic, Karen and I discovered this fantastic Mexican place in Stony Creek called Maria Tortas, and it's very fresh, very authentic, Mexican food. Just great flavor and quite a few different choices, and have gotten takeout from there several times throughout the pandemic and really enjoyed it. And so now I found myself trying different Mexican restaurants around the city, and it's just great to be able to have really great flavorful food that's also healthy for you. And I will never eat at Taco Bell.